Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to this experiment that we are launching today with this 30-minute super express pragmatic videos on Taiga and agile. So what we're going to do today is suggest the five setup for agile projects. They are just my choice. From user feedback, we sometimes get use cases around how teams can benefit from agile, and then in particular from Taiga. Taiga is quite flexible, so actually there's no one solution to those use cases. And I've just collected five ideas for five project setups that I hope you'll be able to enjoy and apply, and then just evolve your way. So I'm going to share my screen now. First of all, I'd like to remind you that there is this resource resources page, which is resources.taiga.io, where you can just find great resources like articles on Scrum, Kanban, issue management, etc., etc. Okay, so I think you can see it here. That's the resources page. And without further ado, we're going to start with the one team, multiple backlogs. By the way, this is we will try to finish early, so to be super agile. This is one of the reasons we developed Taiga. Also, you'll see we try to develop beautiful user interfaces, and one other tool we actually developed quite recently is penpot.app. You can check it out if you're doing web design or app design. Also open source, as it will be everything you see here is open source. You can use for free or using our SaaS platform. So again, so one team, multiple backlogs. What is this? This is Taiga. When you have one team that is not really allocated to one project, there are like several projects, each of them distinct enough to have like their own identity, but at the same time, not so much as they deserve different Taiga instances, different Taiga projects. So what I typically suggest is that you go to settings, you go to modules, you activate Scrum, the Scrum module, also issues, why not, and epics. I just put here 10 sprints and 120 story points. These are all optional, but they look fine. And what you do is basically you have tags and sprints tagged basically based on the projects themselves. So this is the burn down. So you can see that we have P1, P2, P3. All these are tags that basically assign the user story to a particular project or a particular backlog, right? You can always use the filters and just say, okay, I have this one saved, by the way, which is the P1 tag, and you just iterate through this. So the backlog is filtered easily. You can get this one, and you can use the this nice navigation through your filter. This actually works everywhere in Taiga. Any filter that you have applied, the moment you go into one item, you can just circle over that selected list. So this is convenient. If you belong to one of such sub-projects, you just have your own custom filters, and your backlog looks exactly the way you want. Going to click here. Now I use the tag, but there's also something interesting. If you activate the epics module, why not have listed under the epic user stories named here as project? So epic is quite a vague term. Here we are using them as the project container, all the user stories that belong to that. So again, you could also filter your backlog containing multiple user stories belonging to multiple projects using the epic filter. You can do exclude, include, whatever you want. Here you can see that we have that option too. It's really up to you. However you want to filter this. You see I've used some status here like ready. Typically, the higher in the backlog different the status should look like. And then we have this this sprints, and these sprints would be just sprints for the project. So each team would have their own, sprint task board burn down, their user stories, their different tasks, assigned, storyless tasks, even some issues linked to the sprint, which essentially reflects the current status of the project. Some people ask us, and you can see the progress bar, the same for the other two projects. So you have 3 open sprints at any given time. Some people sometimes ask, shall I just reuse this all the time? I don't think this is a good idea for this setup. I would suggest that you create these triplets of sprints, and you just go for, from 1 to 2 to 3. And of course, the dates themselves, you can do it like an overlap or not. This is up to you. So this is convenient for visibility and basically for visibility. But there's also important in terms of capacity, because if you have one team that has to do 3 projects, you probably want to use our very convenient points per role, which is basically telling you for the different roles assigned to a project, a Taiga project, how many points there are assigned in this particular sprint. So you can have a very quickly in just one Taiga project, you can see if that capacity is well used, whether you're using points for value or allocated time that you can put. That's up to you. You can use it there. By the way, you can just go here, and in permissions you can set your different roles, okay? And then under members, you just put everyone under their role. This will be a much longer list. Issues. This again, why not have issues linked to the projects? And of course, you could just go for this one and link it to any sprint like this one, and then you can go to the belonging sprints and find it here. Okay, in this case I made a mistake because this is the tag is not happy with what I've done. All right, so one last thing before I get some questions is, and then go to the next setup, is this iocine doses. Please, do enjoy these little jokes that we have here. Iocine doses means, just based on the Princess Bride book and film, iocine as the fictional poison. You can get immune if you take small doses. This is basically a way for Taiga to show as a Taiga member that you are overstretched, but in a way that is okay to say. So you can see that's happening here. There's a little poison icon here. So you can also check per sprint or per project exactly how much the team is suffering. Okay. So any questions so far? I hope this was light with. Let's see. Hi, Sheriff. Yeah, we'll have this. This is live now. This is live. This is live, guys. But it's going to be recorded and will be kept here for further reference if you want to do this later on. So okay, let's go to the second setup. Second setup is very typical. Some people would say not very agile, but I tend to disagree. So this would be one team doing both support and development. For this setup, I like to go for modules and activate Kanban and issues. Why? Because support typically gets very well addressed using issues. You have severity, priority. You can filter. Like here, I have one filter that says important bugs for channel number 3, where Peter is not assigned. Right, this is just my custom label. I click here and I got it. So you get included and excluded. So this is super. I mean, this is great. Okay, so you see that was the only. Well, filtered by important. There's just one important. Okay, so I think some people actually for support can set up channels where they get the issues into the Taiga project. You can use the API, you can use Zapier integrations. There are many ways you can get into Taiga and just make issues appear here, or you can give access to some users just with very specific permissions where they can only see issues and read and write issues, and that's it, or comment, right? Um, again, please do get in mind that all the things that we can do here, like priorities, let's go for normal, and I click here, I can just still go over this. So filters are very powerful. People underestimate the power of filters. I think when you get a lot of content that's super interesting. So one thing that you can do, of course, is you get to an issue, and you can see here, like this should be promoted to a user story. How many times you get a bug and it's not a bug, it's a feature. I mean, Taiga, you can use it for anything that's not a project, a software project, but it's good for as an example, right? It's not a problem. It's actually an enhancement that people are asking. Fine. You go here and you say promote to user story. You click on promote a user story, and what this is going to do, by the way, I'm going to say, yeah, promote this. It's myself, okay, because I'm lonely here tonight here. And I say, okay, promote this issue to a user story. This is going to basically clone this. It's not going to destroy the issue, but you can see here this issue has been promoted to this user story, and I have including the comments, not the history, because this has been created now, but like the relevant information and who's assigned, all that. If you go to the Kanban, you'll see here that you got it here. Okay, actually did before. Um, this is more for like the stuff you want to build, and this is using Kanban. And probably what Kanban is. Kanban is a very lean approach to get things done, where you have to move stuff from the left to the right, bearing in mind that you might have some limitations or limits depending on the column. Okay, so you basically move stuff, like you get here and you move it here instantaneously. By the way, this is real time, so anyone actually accessing this in a couple of seconds will see their Kanban view updated. We saw filters. Yeah, why not again? Say, okay, I want to see what has Peter assigned. I got it here. I can save it. But also you can use something like this. Sorry, let's see, like channel. Channel could be perhaps an app that you develop where people just upload or send issue reports, and channel 2 just it's just that. Okay, and you see this and they say, okay, let's zoom out and see more or less how this looks like in terms of the features that I'm developing that actually came from channel 2, like a bird's eye view. This is very nice. Okay, that's it. That's the setup number 2. We saw Kanban and issues, ideas around channels that you can use like Zapier or integrations, and promoting to user story, filters, and such. One thing I want to show, I said ton of content. Why not sometimes you just get your favorite reporting tool, you get settings, reports, and you can create these URLs that are private, and you can use them to feed into, in this case, just a Google spreadsheet, right? It's as easy as, see here, you see this import data and then the URL. That's the same URL you were looking at. And then this is live loaded. So each time your project is updated, this is updated. And I just created 2 very dumb charts, so aggregate type or channel distribution, things like that. I don't know. I just wanted to share this in case anyone's like excited about using all the tools to get some insights. Okay, time for questions. Hello. So Alan says, hello, after clone, I used to choose story. Will it be resolved after the story was implemented? Thanks. Very good question. We think it's better that it's not automated. If you think, I mean, you can use that. You can do that with other tools like Zapier. Like you basically link issue closed with user story closed. But Taiga does not have this idea of automatic workflow closure. Nevertheless, we are considering some automations for Taiga Next, which is due this year. So we are looking into what automations would actually be super helpful. Now, how would you do that now? You can use other integrations to basically play with Taiga with itself, or you can just have this simple protocol where you go and when you close the user story, since it's listed, the issue, you go to the issue and you close it again. They are separate entities, and sometimes that linkage could be super weak. So we don't enforce automatic closure. But it's a very good question, and we do get that question a lot of times. Thank you, Alain. All right. Yeah, I appreciate the burst view. Yeah, that's very good. Different levels of Zoom. All right. But we don't have time. We don't have time. We have to go on. By the way, this is the Pinbot logo. All right, number 3, priority-driven organic workflow. Wow, what a mouthful, right? This is the flow. This is where Kanban reigns, right? Again, yeah, this is the bird's eye view. You see some stuff that is different, like we have whip limits here. By the way, we have compact, we have default, we have detailed, and then we have give me everything. Give me everything I want. I want screenshots, I want tasks, and then their status, I want everything, right? Here basically what I like to suggest is that you go for Kanban and Wiki. Why Wiki? Because this is for mature teams where there are certain rules and principles, very lean, and perhaps they have a working team agreement, WTA. You should check that. It's very useful for teams. And basically, it's important that you document how people should react at their autonomy level, like how they behave and react, not like individually or isolated from the team, but how much they can proactively take on any action, whether it's self-assigning a task or closing something or commenting or just doing stuff like not waiting for someone to tell them what to do. So Wiki here is helpful to just you know uh, set up some expectations and then perhaps some simple tasks. Like these are great Kanban cards or tasks, whatever you want to call them, and you just name them and you go there and you see it if it loads. Yeah, here it is. So Wiki here would be useful in terms of documenting what the team should know, like telepathically, right? So one thing I wanted to show you here is that we have multiple assign. Multiple assign, as you can see here, is something tricky in Agile because who's responsible, right? If I actually click here, you can actually edit the card in place. You see multiple assignment here, or you can go to the detail view, right? Here. Now, who is in charge? Well, if you're very organic, lean team, you should know what that means. If you don't want to use the watcher option, but rather the assigned, but this is something you can do. That's not a problem. Whip limits are important to make sure that the Kanban is like not happy, and you're going to see that particularly when you do this, or perhaps not the default way. This is too many tasks for the ready status, and what that means, you know. Due dates. Due dates could be helpful because priority could be something just based on the height, where the task is. So they higher the priority, and then you basically do this, and then you basically do this. You see how I don't know if you could see it, but the whip limits per column have been updated. But also you could have due dates. And due dates are like overrides of priority, which I think is very neat for this very organic flow. You basically go to settings, you go to attributes, you go to due dates, and you can define many due dates, by the way. Here I said, okay, due soon, 7 days before the due date, I should see this orange label, and past due 0. And you can add as many as you want. Even you can say it's before or after, if that makes any sense. That's fine, as long as it makes sense for you. So here you would say like we are happy here, but this isn't some issues. This actually is past due, so it's a nice combination. And also blocks. This one is blocked, and it's very important that you say a reason, that you spot those blocks, and you act upon them. So yeah, please, if you're going this way, do not underestimate the complexity of the Kanban. Kanban is for very mature teams that can go with the WTA, working team agreement, and can go with the flow without like asking for permission. If you don't have that team, it's going to be tricky, and you're going to end up basically overriding the WIP limits and being quite frustrated. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Okay, time for questions. We go 3 out of 5. Not bad, right? How to measure a ticket with stack as a bag? Well, you can that probably is for the other one, right? Here. But basically, I just went to the second project. Here you can just sorry, tag note, type bug, and that's it. Okay. Um, the settings where you go to attributes and you go to types, you can set the issue types, and you can say bug, question, or enhancement. You can say anything. These are just templates, just for you to get to kickstart on your project. Once you have this, uh, they're all over the place. You can use filters, you can search, you can do anything. But yeah, the type here, that red one, is telling you that that's a bug, but you don't have to, know the color code. Um, you just you can just filter. All right. Okay. Just in case there's another question. Well, we only have time for one question. Otherwise, it'll take a bit longer. But thank you for your question. Okay, this is the fourth one. Multiple teams, one backlog. Wow. So multiple teams, one backlog. This is like the reverse of the first one, right? Where we said um, one team, multiple backlogs. So what is the catch here? So multiple teams means that you have one project. So one backlog is one project. Everyone is super committed. Again, you have epics, you can have issues, why not? But the thing is that you have one backlog. You no longer see like tags or epics expressing different projects. Everything is just one project. But the team is so big that they prefer to work disconnected, like sub teams, right? And so this would be, I give you an example. So you have a team of 15 people, and it's just one project, but you have the team that will do research, user experience, and visual design, and will reach to a conclusion where the user story can be developed. Then you have the team that takes that and develops it, and then perhaps you have a team that does testing. Now, the way I just phrased this sounds a bit of a waterfall model, right? Like you have some sort of handoffs, but that's only in appearance. You could have a very agile and lean process. It's just the way the different status of the user story are addressed. And instead of just using the backlog for everything, and treating the backlog as the only place where you can actually have these arrangements, you use open sprints. Now, these sprints here, the team one sprint would work with, by the way, with estimates. I'll go just for this one, and you can have different estimates for each story based on their role. So here you would only estimate the value or the time assigned for that user story for role number one, as long as that user story is in sprint number one. This will be like UX, design, research. And this becomes effectively the backlog for the second team whenever that happens. Again, you could have fully overlapped sprints, like you know, the 15 people basically have two-week sprints and they just have this split, or you could have longer sprints for team one and like smaller sprints for team number two. As long as you have team commitment, you protect the sprint. um, the different statuses of the user story are consistent within the sprint and the team. This is fine. I just showed you like very like handoffy mode, but this could also work for just one project where just different teams are working, attacking the problem or the product from different angles, and they're doing everything themselves, right? But you want to have this burn down, um, tracking everything. And again, this is still useful. Now here, epics, you would probably go for more for the traditional epic user story. Here, you don't have multiple projects. What you have is epic user story. You have big stuff, right? Here you can see individual progress and all that. By the way, the epics module in Taiga can be fed by user stories belonging to other projects. So, you know, just in case you didn't know, we're using here epics within the same project, epics and user stories, but epics don't have that limitation. They can just take user story from other projects, and so you can see and track overall progress in just one project that, you know, keeps track of everything, right? So yeah, you have split estimation. You can use split estimation, and then you have the overall point, you know, burn down point here. You have three sprints here that actually could look as one. As long as you know what you're doing, you can interpret this and be useful for you. So this is quite tricky. This is probably one of the trickiest Scrum setups. This is the multiple teams, one backlog Scrum mode. Any questions before I go to the one project, multiple teams Kanban mode? Okay, Cassie asks, if a story point is 3, okay, and it got bug reported by 2 times, how could I know the total story point taking along with the bug and attach the story with the bug? Well, you can link user story and bugs. That's not an issue. You just put the number of the bugs, and Taiga auto completes that. But the total story point, you should only count it once. I mean, this is something the team decides. Like this user story. This is the number of points that it has, regardless of the bugs. Bugs don't have estimations. Bugs are just bugs. User story do have user story points, but I'm not sure I'm understanding the question where you're coming from. So I'll make sure we keep that, and if you give us your contact details or something, I'll make sure we get. I mean, I want to give you like a proper answer, but basically you can link bugs and user stories. User stories do have estimations, but that estimation is based solely on the time for the completion or the value they provide. So you would only count the number of bugs once. Um, many links to many bugs, but just one one count of story points. All right, so we'll go now for the last, perhaps, because I have like, if we have time, I want to show something, but I don't think we have time. So I'm going to show you the multiple teams one backlog Kanban edition. Still, epics, simple. As everything in Taiga, it's simple. It doesn't get complicated. It's flexible. You could start with, very simple stuff and get your way to very sophisticated agile mindset and features. That is fine. But I think epics are good to have overall an idea. So here, you could have like teams as in epics. Like these are the different teams with their respective user stories. And the Kanban, you would have different swim lanes. So this will be my suggestion. So do you have many teams? Do you have many swim lanes? Now, exactly how I would set up I would go to settings again, epics and Kanban. I would go to attributes, Kanban options, and just set up here the different swim lanes. Team, I will name them after the teams that are assigned to them, right? And why not perhaps adding whip limits to different columns, and then the default swim lane, which would be called very conveniently backlog. So the backlog here would act as the place where you actually create new stuff. Like this is new work that we have to do. But the moment they reach to ready status, you I'm going to do this for a second. The moment you do this, uh, team one or team two or team three could actually take any user story from the ready status. If we are following the same sequential process where team one actually gets the task, and then when it's finished, team two takes that as an input, and then the output of team two is actually team three input, then which is fine, that's fine. You would basically do that, and then anything ready to validate here or done would become team number two new, and you would basically chain all three teams, and this would be like the final uh, finish line for the tasks. Again, you can filter, you can say, okay, fine, but what's about Pablo? What's about me? This is what you get, right? um the Why would you pick the Kanban edition and not the Scrum edition? So Scrum is, we have the backlog and then we have sprints. Kanban is, we have this swim lane called the backlog, and then we have swim lanes, right? I think it depends very much on the need to have full visibility. Like, I need to have this bird's eye view, regardless of whatever team is doing. Scrum is more with the sprints. You have the sprint taskbar, and that you focus on the sprint. Kanban is like, here's everything. Of course, you could collapse the backlog, or you could collapse team two if you're basically team one. This is your Kanban view, right? This is your custom. This is only for you. This is your browser, your user settings, and this is for you. So you could, in a way, focus the same way as a sprint dashboard does. But you're one click away from basically seeing everything. So depending on the number of tasks and the importance of visibility, you would like to go for a more detailed task-based, detailed Scrum approach, or a more generic bird's eye view with a Kanban. All right, so that's 5 setups for different agile use cases using Taiga, of course. I think we have time for perhaps one or two final questions, and then, in the spirit of being agile, we'll just finish, and not waste anyone's time. So, any questions you'd like to ask? Um, Also, you could do that in the comments, and we'll make sure we reply. Uh, so Mel says, nice, clean project tracking, better than Jira, ADO, Friday, and Trello. Okay, Mel, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we try to make sure it's simple, it's welcoming other roles, not just techie people, lawyers, journalists, any stakeholder. Agile should not be like for the elite or for the technical elite, to be for everyone, really. And the lean principles are so global. It benefits everyone. So yeah, we try to do that. And with Taiga Next, we're going to do a very difficult thing, which is keep the simplicity and the flexibility, and yet give more features, which is a very tough thing to do. Is that's a challenge. So stay tuned for more news around that, and the importance that we're going to give to accessibility, by the way. Richard, is there a way to transfer the sorting of user stories inside Epics to the Scrum backlog? Oh, I'm afraid not. Yeah. So Richard is asking that I go to. I'll just go for the Epics here, and you have this, and but there's, or I mean, this or this, you can order the epics, but not the user stories themselves. So it's like, I have to admit, it's nice to have like different ordering. Here, sorry, that is a Kanban. Here, if you go to the backlog, you can do this, but this is an internal order for the sprint. So you do that, you can do. By the way, the drag and drop works like as you would expect, right? So everything it's draggable and etc. And I've probably showed you like 15-20% of the whole Taiga product, but I think I showed you something that was useful. So I hope you enjoy this short little video, and we'll think about what to do next. I mean, your feedback is appreciated. Any comments will be taken into account, and see you next month, perhaps. So yeah, have a great rest of the day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.